Ukraine continues to torment the occupiers. The propagandist's hair has turned gray again. For the first time, the new Ukrainian super missile Long Neptune was shown publicly. But let's not forget about the pink bird Flamingo, the Ukrainian version of it. The whole world is still discussing this long-range missile. All the details are coming up next.
Ukraine has demonstrated its Long Neptune for the first time. On Independence Day, the state portal's Broya of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine showed the new Ukrainian missile Long Neptune for the first time, with a range of up to 1,000 kilometers.
We are proud Ukrainians, we have our independence, and we possess powerful weapons.
The missile is based on the R-360 Neptune anti-ship cruise missile, which was used at the time to sink the flagship of the occupiers' Black Sea Fleet, the Moskva.
Moskva, this is the first one. 2 holes. The propeller started to explode. It will roll onto its side, break in half, roll onto its side.
Compared to its anti-ship counterpart, the long-range Neptune has been increased in size and range and is also capable of striking ground targets.
The missile that was shown is longer and has a larger diameter. Well, since, let's say, the naval Neptune has a range of 280 kilometers and here it's 1,000 kilometers, they had to seriously redesign the fuselage. And it should be noted that our engineers took the simplest approach. That is, they simply increased the geometric dimensions of the missile, thereby increasing the fuel capacity.
At the same time, a fake story authored by the Kremlin's troll factory leaked into the media. Supposedly, the Trump administration is suspending deliveries of Patriot, HIMARS and Hellfire missiles to Ukraine. The Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation assured that there is no suspension of aid. And most importantly, as of today, Ukraine is much less dependent on American missiles.
Why is Trump's blockade of ATACMS no longer as frightening for Ukraine? Washington may have overestimated the impact of American long-range missiles, while Kyiv is strengthening its own defenses.
Ukraine's independence in carrying out long-range strikes on Russian territory is a result of a significant increase in Ukrainian production.
Ukraine has developed and is mass-producing at least 2 very long-range, ultra-long-range drones. These are the Luti and the FP1. So the FP1 has a range of 1,600 kilometers, while the Luti drone, when its landing gear was not retractable, originally had a range of about 1,000 kilometers. Now with retractable landing gear and increased fuel capacity, the range is 1,200 kilometers.
The scale of production allows for the daily launch of about 100 long-range drones targeting military and energy facilities on Russian territory. Just in the past few days, Ukrainian drones have successfully struck the Syzran oil refinery in the Samara region.
That's it.
I don't see anything.
Looks like that's all. This is the final one. That's all. That's all.
It definitely hit right, didn't it?
Yes.
As well as the Ust-Luga seaport in the Leningrad region.
Film it, film the group. You can see it flying.
And of course, we can't forget about the Ukrainian pink bird, the Flamingo cruise missile, whose appearance has significantly shifted the balance of power in the Russian skies.
And if we use the Flamingo, it can even reach Omsk. There you go. That means all Russian missile factories and 90% of Russian oil refineries, more than 95% of Russian oil refineries, and 90% of enterprises in the Russian military-industrial complex will be within striking range.
The main advantages of the Ukrainian bird are its simple production, a strike range of up to 3,000 kilometers, and an impressive warhead of 1,150 kilograms.
Hit by a missile like the Flamingo, right? If a drone hits, it causes some damage. If a missile like that hits with explosives and a warhead of 1,150 kilograms as stated, then we're not talking about damage. We're talking about complete destruction. In that case, there won't be any repairing or looking for spare parts at the refinery, just collecting scrap metal. And if it's an industrial facility like a workshop or something, right? So you just clear the site and build a new workshop, because repairing it, there will be a crater 20 to 25 meters wide.
The fate of Russian refineries, military factories, airfields, and other defense industry facilities now hardly depends on Washington's opinion or position.
The Ukrainian armed forces strike with surgical precision. Refineries in Samara and Krasnodar Krai are ablaze after drone attacks. Explosions were also heard in temporarily occupied Crimea. Shock! Putin's summer offensive has failed. The Western press has declared a catastrophe for the occupiers at the front.
Dozens dead, including 4 children. Putin's terror continues. Russia carried out a massive attack on Ukraine. At night, enemy forces attacked Kyiv with drones, ballistic and cruise missiles. the occupiers launched nearly 600 UAVs of various types and 31 missiles. Once again, residential buildings came under terrorist attack. The occupying army also carried out a targeted strike on civilian passenger rolling stock.
Terror against the civilian population is the latest element of military political pressure by the Russian leadership on both the United States and Ukraine, aimed at implementing its own vision of ending the war in Ukraine.
But Russia also had a very loud night. Ukraine's defense forces are striking military targets on Russian territory, in particular the Afipsky oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai and the Kuibyshev oil refinery in Samara Oblast.
Oh my goodness, it just completely blew up. Oh, it is definitely burning now, and quite intensely.
Explosions also thundered in temporarily occupied Crimea. Online sources reported a raid of about 200 UAVs. In particular, explosions were heard and seen in Sevastopol, Yevpatoria, the area of the Belbek airfield, Saki, and other locations. And also in the Sea of Azov, not far from temporarily occupied Crimea, the Ukrainian armed forces struck a Russian Boyan M-class small missile ship. As a result of the strikes, the Russian ship, which was in the potential launch zone for Kalibr missiles, sustained damage and was forced to leave its combat duty area. The enemy is also feeling the heat on the front line. Ukrainian kamikaze drones from the Corsair battalion delivered precise strikes on the occupiers' equipment in the Pokrovsky direction. As a result of the attack, a Russian tank and several motorcycles were destroyed. And in the Zaporizhzhia direction, the Ukrainian armed forces engaged in direct small arms combat with the occupiers and eliminated Russian assault troops. Snipers from the 144th Special Operations Forces Center put aside their rifles and, armed with grenades and machine guns, began to repel the assault and clear out the trenches. And overall, Russia's summer offensive in Ukraine has failed, according to the Western press. Most of the objectives that the Russians tried to achieve between April and August 2025 have remained unattainable.
The plans of the Russian political leadership for the summer campaign, not just the summer offensive, as Gil's reports, have indeed completely failed. We are talking about the plans of the Russian political leadership to create so-called buffer zones with an advanced depth of up to 20 kilometers in the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. At this point, Ukraine's defense forces have completely neutralized these threats to the territorial integrity of our country.
Lacking any successes, Russian propagandists are spreading yet another fake about Ukraine allegedly preparing a provocation involving hazardous substances in the combat zone in Donbass.
The goal of this propaganda operation is, first, to discredit the armed forces of Ukraine and the Ukrainian political leadership by attempting to accuse them of violating their international obligations and the agreements ratified accordingly by the Ukrainian parliament. This concerns war crimes and the rules and norms of warfare.
Well, absolutely nothing new or truly humane can be expected from Putin's utterly inhumane actions and his inhumans.
Ukraine's new superpower. The US is supplying the Ukrainian armed forces with super missiles. This is a total blow to the Kremlin. Deadly hybrids of aerial bombs and cruise missiles are already on the way. All the details are coming up in the report.
An American congratulation for Ukraine's Independence Day. Following Keith Kellogg, American cruise missiles will be sent to Ukraine.
It is an honor for me to present you with this award. Thank you.
According to the Wall Street Journal, the Donald Trump administration approved the sale to Ukraine of more than 3,000 extended-range attack munition air-to-surface missiles.
It should be noted that neither the Pentagon nor the White House has officially confirmed the information about the sale of air-to-surface missiles to Ukraine, which, according to media reports, are supposed to be delivered to the Ukrainian side within the next 6 weeks. Therefore, we can say that this is a so-called controlled information leak. That is when the Russian Federation is made aware of the White House administration's plans.
A few days earlier, Russian terrorists launched a missile strike on an American company's factory in western Ukraine. Essentially, Putin nullified Trump's words that the presence of American business on Ukrainian territory is in itself a guarantee of security.
What did you say to Vladimir Putin about yesterday's strike on the American factory in Ukraine?
I told him that I was not happy about it. I'm not happy about anything that's happening in this war.
After some time, the President of the United States made an important statement. Donald Trump admitted that Ukraine cannot win the war by only defending itself.
It's very difficult, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking the aggressor country, just like a great sports team with a fantastic defense wouldn't be allowed to play offense. There's no chance of winning. It's the same with Ukraine and Russia. The dishonest and terribly incompetent Joe Biden didn't allow Ukraine to fight back, only to defend itself. And what came of it?
According to experts, the supply of long-range air-launched missiles is a logical response from Trump to the demonstrated unwillingness of the Russian dictator to negotiate.
The so-called all-over, meaning a retaliatory strike from the United States. Moreover, I do not rule out that together with or in parallel to the possible supply of strike weapons, permission will also be granted to carry out a retaliatory strike on the territory of the Russian Federation.
The key aspect of the supply of American air-to-surface missiles, which, as reported, have been paid for by Ukraine's European allies, is their large quantity, specifically 3,350 missiles, and their range of up to 450 kilometers.
450 kilometers covers virtually the entire rear infrastructure of the Russian occupation army, directly on the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. Additionally, if permission is granted to use these weapons on the territory of the Russian Federation, it would cover all of the Russian army's logistics and, accordingly, legitimate military targets within Russian territory. This is significantly, almost by a third, greater than the technical and tactical specifications of the American ATAK-MS.
The combination of the number and range of IRAM missiles means that, unlike the scarce Storm Shadow and ATAK-MS, these missiles can be used much more frequently, including for precision strikes against fighters, bombers, and the launchers of the occupying army.
First and foremost, it appears that air bases will be the primary focus of increased attention from the Ukrainian defense forces. In addition, the launch points, that is, the locations from which UAVs as well as cruise and ballistic missiles are launched on the territory of the Russian Federation, will also be targeted.
That's all for now. For more fiery news from the front, tune in to our next episode.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.